Hi, it's Leo Does Tech, back again with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you 10 reasons why you should consider buying this device here, the Samsung Galaxy S10e. But I'm also going to give you 3 reasons to maybe avoid this phone. Let's get on with it. So the S10e was Samsung's cheaper S device, released in 2019 and was £150 cheaper than the standard S10. And even though this device is almost 7 years old, it's still very popular. So if you were thinking about picking one up, hopefully this video will help you decide. So my first reason to consider picking up the S10e is the size. So we live in an era where smartphones are quite large, and with companies like Apple axing their mini lineup, there is less and less choice when it comes to small compact smartphones. But the S10e was different. Not only was it cheaper than the regular S10, it was also smaller, with a screen size of only 5.8 inches. This thing's not even 6 inches. And what this means is the S10e is very portable. Now, I'm typically someone that quite likes large smartphones, but I do have to say this phone is very easy to carry. It fits in my hand very nicely and comfortably, and the size means that one-handed typing is very easy. It's also the weight of this thing. This thing is super light. It comes in at 150 grams. Just for some context, my 16 Pro Max is 130 grams, so almost 80 grams heavier. You may say that doesn't sound like a lot, but you can really feel the difference in one-handed usage. This thing is very light. So I guess if you're after a compact, lightweight smartphone, then the S10e might be for you. So my second reason to buy the Galaxy S10 is Bixby. Just joking. It's actually the acceptable performance level of this device given that it's almost 7 years old. So depending on your region, the S10e either came with the Exynos 9820 or the Snapdragon 855. Pair that with 6 to 8 gigabytes of RAM and you've got a phone that's still usable in 2026. Browsing the web, watching YouTube, checking the weather, emails, I'm not sure what people use these days, all felt very smooth and usable. I was even able to do a bit of gaming, so I jumped into Call of Duty Mobile, which ran fine. So does Minecraft. So if you want to do a bit of gaming with this phone, that should be fine. I did actually run Geekbench 6 because I was curious, and the score, it's not great, but I don't think it really reflects the real world performance of this phone. These are just benchmark numbers, and in the real world this phone is more than usable for casual usage. Just don't expect to edit the next Mr. Beast video on it. So my third reason as to why you should consider picking up an S10e is the value for money. So I bought this phone a couple of weeks ago and I only paid about 75 to 80 quid for it. That is on the used market, but I got a fully functioning phone in good condition with 128 gigs of storage for quite a bit less than £100. And just for a comparison, if you were to buy a new phone for less than £100, this is the sort of thing you would be buying. This is a Samsung Galaxy A07, their cheapest brand new smartphone. Definitely has a more premium design. This thing's completely made out of plastic, and the screen on the S10e is a lot nicer. This is an OLED, this is an IPS. It's actually run out of battery, but you get the point. So my point is, if you can find the S10e for less than £100, it is a really good deal, especially if you compare it to the prices of new phones. So my fourth reason to consider buying the S10e is actually the camera system. So if we take a look at it on the back, pretty typical, we have 2 camera systems, but the reason I highlight this is because Samsung have decided to go with a standard camera and an ultra wide, which is probably the best setup they could have chosen. It's definitely aged very well, so if you were to go into a store and buy a brand new iPhone 17, that also comes with 2 rear cameras, a standard camera and an ultra wide. So the fact that I bought this phone for 80 quid and it has the same setup as modern day phones shows that this has aged very well. And from my testing, the camera quality is still surprisingly really good. Photos from the main camera look good, decent level of detail, decent dynamic range. I haven't really got much to complain about. The main sensor is 12 megapixels, which might sound quite low by today's standards, but it's completely fine. Good enough for social media, but you're probably not going to be shooting pictures for National Geographic. And the 16 megapixel ultra wide is also very usable. A good level of detail and good colours, that's all you can ask for. And when it comes to video, the S10e can shoot at 4K 60, which is pretty good. And you'll be glad to hear that the 10 megapixel selfie camera is also very usable. For my fifth reason, I've whipped out the old earbuds. Yes, the S10e was one of the last remaining phones to still have a headphone jack. What that means is if you've you've got some wired headphones or earbuds lying about, you can use them with this phone. Is that a normal thing to want to use, or is everyone using wireless now? And according to my quick search on ChatGPT, this phone has a pretty good DAC built into it. So that means that it should be able to power some pretty heavy duty headphones. And it's not just headphones, I've been in cars many times where the only way to connect your phone to the stereo is using an old-fashioned aux cable, and having the ability to connect your phone directly to an aux is always useful. So we're over halfway through our list. If you are enjoying, be sure to drop us a like and consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. And if you are enjoying or finding this video helpful, let me know in the comments section below. It really helps with exposure. And there's that new hype button down there that also helps. Anyway, let's get on with the list. So my 6th reason to pick up the S10e is actually the screen. So as I've already mentioned, it is a 5.8 inch AMOLED screen, but the thing that really impresses me is how this screen looks. The bezels are actually quite small, and it makes the front of this device look modern. I don't know what you're thinking, but I could be shown the front of this device and told that it was released this year, and I probably wouldn't question it. And yes, the chin bezel is a bit bigger, but who cares? And I really think the hole punched camera in the corner looks very smart. I guess what I'm trying to say is the front of this device still looks modern, and during my time testing this phone I was impressed with the screen. It still retains the inky blacks and vibrant colours of typical Samsung OLED screens. It's also very detailed at 1080p plus resolution, but it is unfortunately lacking some features like 120Hz, so scrolling won't be the smoothest. But bear in mind, this year was the first year that the standard iPhone got 120Hz. So for my 7th reason, take a look at this. Look at that. Yes, this phone supports SD card storage expansion, which is actually a very useful and rare feature in 2026. And it already has 128 gigs, but if I wanted to, I could pop a 0.5 terabyte SD card into this phone and it would have loads of storage. And with the compact design and decent screen, I could imagine this being a pretty good MP4 media consumption device. I know it's not the 2026 way, but if you get sick of paying for streaming services, you could pop a massive SD card in this thing and download all your music and movies and just pop it on this device. And because it's so compact and light, you could easily just pop it in your pocket, use it as like an MP4 player. Yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning the storage expansion. So my 8th reason as to why you should buy the S10e is water resistance. I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel. And the reason I mention it is because usually with cheaper devices like this, companies usually remove features, and from my observations over the years, water resistance seems to be something that's quite quickly removed, and so it's quite nice that it has it. And it's not just splash resistance, it's full fat IP68 water and dust resistance, so this thing should be fine submerged up to 1.5 meters in water up to 30 minutes. And I didn't just want to take Samsung's word for it, I had to test it myself. So we're at my 9th reason as to why you should buy the S10e. We're almost at the end of the list. And this is a feature that some people might not care about, but when I was using this phone and testing it out, it's something that definitely jumped out at me. For the size of this device, the inbuilt phone speakers are actually really good. And the reason I mention this is because I've tested a lot of budget Samsung phones. Like over here I have the A07 and the A17, two of Samsung's cheapest phones. And even though these phones are much bigger, and this phone costs around about £140, they both have noticeably worse speakers, just a single bottom firing speaker, whereas the S10e has stereo speakers. What that means is the earpiece also doubles up as a second speaker, so when you're watching videos in landscape it produces like a stereo effect, and even at max volume they actually sound pretty good. A17, the GPS. They don't become distorted and they sound pretty full. So for the size of the device and how much I paid for it, I was actually pretty impressed with the speakers. So my 10th and final reason as to why you should buy the Samsung Galaxy S10e is reverse wireless charging. So the reason I mention it is because my current daily, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, doesn't have universal reverse wireless charging. And in the 1.5 years of having this phone, there have been a couple of occasions where having reverse wireless charging would have been useful. And I know in Android phones, especially Samsung phones, having reverse wireless charging isn't a big deal. A lot of them do have it. I just thought I'd mention it in case you're coming from a phone that doesn't have it, because it is quite a useful feature. And I thought especially if you're buying this device as like a secondary backup phone, having reverse wireless charging could be very useful. So there you go, that has been my top 10 reasons reasons to pick up the S10e. Now I'm going to cover 3 reasons why you might want to avoid this phone. So my first reason to avoid the S10e is actually the battery size. So even by 2019 standards, this thing still had a pretty small battery. It comes with a whopping 3100 milliamp hour battery. Just for some context, both the A07 and the A17, which are the 2 cheap Samsung phones that I've previously mentioned in this video, these both have 5000 milliamp hour batteries, and when testing this device out I could really feel the small battery capacity along with the age of this phone. The battery just didn't last as long as I would have liked, and if I was to guess, I don't think this phone's getting much over 3 hours of screen on time. So if you need reliable battery performance, probably don't get this phone, and I know that's probably a deal breaker for a lot of people. My second reason to avoid the S10e is the software. You see, being a phone from 2019 means that it's no longer getting any software updates. In fact, the last major software update this phone got was in 2023. The S10e is currently stuck on Android 12, meaning that it's lacking the latest Android features. It's also not received any security updates in the last 2 years, so I don't know if I fully trust the security of this device, so I wouldn't put my bank card on it or use any banking apps on this phone. Again, that might be another deal breaker. So my third and final reason as to why you should avoid the Samsung Galaxy S10e is the fact that this phone doesn't have 5G support. So if you're someone that relies on cellular internet, this phone probably isn't for you because you're limited to 4G. This means that it will take longer for you to download your homework folder when you're out and about. Could be a deal breaker. So there you go, that has been my 10 reasons why you should consider picking up an S10e and 3 reasons why you might want to avoid this phone. And as always, if you have enjoyed, be sure to drop us a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see everyone in my next video.